Oh, Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Pretty cold up there, huh?
Fucking, I'm sorry, freezing.
We like bad words.
Oh, good. Okay, it's one of my favorites. Where are you guys?
We're in South Florida. We're in South Florida. East
Oh, no big deal.
we're not suffering. We have had a little cold spell, but our cold spells are, kind of pathetic.
Yeah, it's like 60 degrees and everyone's freezing. And
I got this big sweater on. I think it's like wintry.
Poor Erin. Poor Erin.
I know. But you can hear us okay? The connection's good?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect.
Nice.
So
I just started the recording.
Awesome.
So I'll just kick it off and then we can start talking about some cool stuff.
Yay.
This is Jason and Aaron from vibrationupgrade.com. We have author, best-selling author, Heather Waxman with us from heatherwaxman.com. And Heather, what can they find on your website?
What can they find?
Yeah, I was messing around with it today, and it looks like you have a bunch of free guides and some different tools and some meditations on there.
Yeah, well, they can get a freebie about what we're talking about today at heatherwaxman.com/meditate. So like everything we chit chat about basically will be in there too. So if they're like, oh, that was so good, I want like a physical thing, they can just go there and get it. It's free.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
That's the best way. We have a free guide on our website too. We do a lot of blabs about ascension and just new age wellness in general. So we have an ascension, free ascension guide at the top of our website, and everyone's enjoying it.
Vibrationupgrade.com.
So
yeah,
cool.
Perfect.
So yeah, we emailed you a couple weeks ago. We were supposed to do a blab last week, was it? But I got stuck in London for a little bit. So thanks for rescheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, she's going to hate us. She's going to hate us. I was like, she's not going to hate us because she's spiritual.
It was Mercury retrograde. I expected it.
She's not allowed to hate us.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, he had a last minute London trip. So that was kind of random.
I was exhausted. So
did you go there for pleasure, for work, for what?
For work.
Oh, cool.
For work.
Nice.
So yeah. I was out there for like 10 days and it was only supposed to be 5 and it got extended to 10. So
yeah, it's no worries. That sounds kind of awesome. I know that it was work stuff, but being stuck in London could be worse, right?
Yeah.
Heather, when you look off to the right side, it'll show you like people who have just joined or people start to comment. That's where they'll pop up. So just so you know, and people will kind of come in and go and whatnot. And we usually we'll post this on YouTube and the replay, so people will watch it after the fact.
Cool.
So just so you kind of get an idea. But it's really fun. And also, it's up to you. But at some point, whenever, if you want or whatnot, like people can jump on and you could get 4 screens on. Have you seen Blab where you can have people come in and like interact or ask questions? Did you see that?
Yeah, it's so cool.
We've had a lot of fun doing that so far. I mean, we're still, learning and getting more graceful at it. But I mean, in the end, it's just we're having fun and talking about really cool things and meeting cool people and just sharing neat information.
Yeah,
So,
it's such an amazing way to connect with people, because Periscope's awesome too. But like this, you can actually have live conversations with people too. So rad.
is your hair darker than your website hair?
Yeah.
Or is it just
Yeah, this is what happens when you're lazy and you don't go to your hairdresser anymore. And it's layered. There are layers in here. It's everything.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just didn't know if it was the lighting, but your website it looks more blonde.
Yeah, that shoot was like over 2 years ago. So it's been a change. Change of hair. We go through seasons, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, anyone that's tuned in so far, don't be shy. Ask us questions. And I mean, we haven't really like jumped into anything. We're kind of just chit-chatting. But once we kind of get going, don't be shy. We want you to interact, give us ideas, questions, and at some point, if we want or you want, you can jump on and kind of interact and add, but also, can you teach them how to invite their followers?
Yeah, if you go over to the left of the screen, you see the tweet and the Facebook post, and you can invite people to come in and watch. So do it. Do it now. Do it.
just because more the merrier, and you just meet really cool people and to add to the discussion. Everyone always has something to add. The collective, we all have something really cool to add to the world, and a lot of sharing involved.
Ooh, what does it mean when like the numbers next to the paw hands go up?
It's like the hearts on Periscope. It's like claws.
Cool.
Or high fives, double high fives. It looks a little creepy, actually.
Wait, give her one.
I mean, if I'm sitting up and I move my hand.
Did you see how it gives it like a little ball face? Or is that us?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it shows you who's.
I'm doing it to you now.
It is kind of. And Periscope has the hearts.
It is.
It goes on.
It's cute.
Yeah, I was looking at your website today. So you made that 2 years ago. It's a nice website.
Yeah, the photo shoot was from, actually actually in March it'll be 3 years since that photo shoot, but the website itself was redone last year. So yeah, my designer, she's such a sweet lady. She lives out in Australia, and she's so fun to work with too. It's like, it's so amazing when you can team up with people, and you're just in it, you're in your flow and you're so aligned. And it was one of my favorite projects actually to do.
Yeah, it came out
team
great.
Up with her.
So you, and I was reading about your story. So you had a little struggle back and forth with like exercising a shitload all the time, and then
body image, and that's kind of what the main focus was around your book, and what kind of inspired that, right? Was the body image.
Yeah. So I kind of like teetered back and forth between eating disorders. So I was anorexic for quite some time, and then it kind of morphed into binge eating and over exercising and orthorexia, and I kind of went through all of the phases. And it was pretty severe. When I was in college, I was at my lowest weight, and I'm 5'8", and I was 108 pounds, and I was very, very thin, and my hair was falling out. I lost my menstrual cycle, and I went to the doctor on campus to just get a regular physical, and it was clear that I had an eating disorder. I was so sick, and she said essentially like, you need to go talk to somebody. So I went to go talk to someone, and the therapist actually contacted the dean, and they both approached me and said, if you don't get the help that you need, we're going to essentially kick you out of college and refer you to a treatment center. Yeah. So, which obviously they can't like force you into treatment, but they can, with my parents' consent too, you can refer someone. So that was like the impetus of me wanting to like shift things around. But it wasn't my own choice. I did it because I didn't want to, be delayed, and go to treatment and then, have to go back to college. So I continued through college, and then I moved home and I started working. So ironically enough, I went to school for nutrition, and so I gained some weight, but I still had really unhealthy eating patterns. And at this point, I was exercising heavily and binge eating at night, and living at home. And at the time, my mother was really heavy into her alcoholism, and my dad was, he's always been a present figure in my life, but because of my mom's alcoholism, he was kind of like never around, and it was a really toxic situation to be in. And I coped with binge eating. That's how I coped. And so when my parents got divorced, it sort of kind of, it broke me open, and I had to, figure out what to do. It was this moment of, I don't know, it was just a pivotal moment for me of awakening. And I realized that I needed to save myself. And so I was guided to, I'm sure you've heard of the metaphysical text, A Course in Miracles, not too long after having a crying on my knees in the fetal position moment, or night, really. And after that, I was guided to A Course in Miracles, and I just really dove headfirst into spirituality. And I was, really guided through, beautiful teachers like Marianne Williamson and Gabrielle Bernstein and, all of the amazing Hay House authors. And I started to really practice A Course in Miracles. And over time, things started to shift. And I started to create my own body peace practice, these practices that I would do every day to further my recovery. And before I had moved into spiritual practice, I was also writing a healthy living blog. Called nice. For the Love of Kale.
I love that.
Yeah. Just such a walking contradiction, but that's where I was, and I totally love that girl. But I think it's fun to make fun of yourself too.
Absolutely.
Don't take yourself too seriously. So I was writing that blog, and at the same time I was like sharing. As I was learning, I was so excited. So I would share, lessons from A Course in Miracles, and I would share what Gabby Bernstein's interpretation or Marianne Williamson's, etc. And I was so excited, and at the same time I was really just using that to create my own body peace practice and heal. And eventually, my dear friend Casey, who was also in this healthy living blog world, she and I had kind of paralleled in our journeys in recovery from eating disorders. And we both reached a point, years later, where we realized that we had created our own practice. And we came together and we decided to write a book to help other people. And it wasn't that long after it kind of felt like, and you guys know, it's just like the energy of the times is just so fast. And when you're ready, it's like, boom, like the shifts are just going to happen fast if you're ready and you're willing. So, I mean, I was free of my symptoms in less than 3 years. And I was like blown away. Now I understand why a little bit more. I mean, it's still mysterious in so many ways, but we came together and we wrote this book, and now it's helped, hundreds, I guess thousands of women now to really heal their body stuff. And it's so cool to be able to share that with others. And it's interesting, talking about that girl, it's just, I love her, but I just don't recognize her anymore, and you change and you shift. But yeah, it was crazy time, and I so remember like being like in it. When you're in it, like it was hell. It was prison.
I think it's interesting that the majority of spiritual awakenings come from when you're down in the dumps and depression, and you have issues, because it causes you to start searching for something more and asking questions. If you're always happy and life's going perfect, you're not going to have an awakening because you're not looking for anything. And I've interviewed a lot of people, that have their spiritual awakenings, and they're depressed or not, or they're going through some issue, and they're searching for the answer of, why am I here?
Yeah. I mean, it forces like a deep reflection, and going within to figure out, why am I feeling this way, or what is it, that's important, or what is it that I even enjoy, like before my spiritual awakening, I was like bored kind of, thinking like, what are we doing here? We're going to work, everyone's coming home, they eat dinner, go to bed, and then they go to work the next day. I just remember thinking like, this is kind of boring, and then when you have that spiritual awakening and you kind of see that there's so much more going on, with the world and where we're taking the planet vibrationally as a collective, as an earth. To me, once I started tapping into all the things that really were happening, I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Like, I was like, finally, because it's just all that other stuff seemed so boring. But it's funny how like the bad things, like these traumatic events and going through, what you went through, it's funny how it also teaches you, at least for me, because I've had some bad illnesses too, kind of teaches you like what you don't prefer, you know, and sometimes having that contrast like helps you get more clear about what you do prefer, or also sometimes highlighting potential paths, you know, because we have so many potentials that we're creating. So we're like, oh my God, if I like stayed on this path, you kind of start to foresee what that path is. Oh, someone just given us balls.
We're getting a lot of balls.
That's so cool. Thanks for sharing the balls.
Yes, we love the ball.
But, you know, it kind of helps you see where that path is going. You know, you kind of start to get insight into like, wow, if I stay on this path of eating this way or feeling this way or, you know, hating myself, you're just like, you kind of start to foresee where that's going, you know, and you're like, wow, I can like shift that, you know, and you start to see what this new path would look like, you know, where it's like, oh my gosh, I love myself. I love people. I love you. Like, you're just like, wow, the path, it can be so different with just a shift in your thinking, you know? It's really, and like what you said, how you don't recognize, I mean, you can remember what it feels like to be that girl, but you're so different now that it almost feels like a different person sort of, but you still remember what it was like. But I mean, I think as we shift and awaken, we become different people all the time. You know, I mean, we can shift so like drastically, you know, like different in the sense of like consciousness and energy. You know what I mean? Not like, you know, different arm and skin, but like energetically, we can become like completely different beings energetically based on how we're, you know, assessing ourselves and the world and our energies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just rambled there.
Yeah. I love it. I think that's true. I mean, no, I love that. It's so true. I mean, are you hearing echo? I'm hearing echo.
No.
Okay.
Do you still hear it? Echo? Right. Hello? No? Okay, cool.
No, I don't. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge for all of us is like we're like when you really commit fully to your path, you know. I personally believe that we're all on a path, but like the level of commitment, you know, is your choice. And I think when you fully commit, I don't know, in my own experience, it's just the shifting happens so fast, and it's just this constant reassessment of like, okay, all right, now let's, you know, it's like a realignment that you're constantly doing, and that is the dance, the challenge, you know, and surrendering to that and trusting into that is my practice and my challenge, you know.
Mm-hmm. Are we cutting out at all? You're cutting out a little bit. Can you hear us and see us?
Yeah, it's a little choppy.
Do you know how to fix it?
That's good now. It's the internet. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I also find that when you bring a lot of high vibrations together or high vibrational topics, it starts to interfere with electronics. Have you ever noticed?
All the freaking time with my clients.
and it's funny because it's almost like you got to like ball up your energy or something. And like, I don't know how to do it. I haven't figured it out yet, but sometimes it's hard because, you know, I have clients too that I work with over Skype or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, how do I fix this? Like, I haven't figured it out. Have you figured out how to like not?
I just surrender and roll with it. It's just like, I don't know, it is what it is.
Like, we'll just look at each other frozen.
I think if we get too many balls, it freezes the screen.
No, it doesn't. We want those balls.
We love the balls.
Those balls. Paul.
Yes, girl, there it is.
Thanks, Paul. Give us a lot of balls. That's exciting. And one thing I really liked about, I think, I don't know, was it your website or anything, but you were talking about like everyday solutions, spiritual solutions to everyday things. And I love that because people think of spirituality like as being like, oh, I have to be like Buddha. And like, I mean, I'm not saying that Buddha's bad, but I think they sometimes take it too seriously and don't realize that you can be using it all the time for like any little thing, anything, like they think, oh, well, it's only if I'm while I'm meditating, or only if I'm like, having some big spiritual conversation, but it can be in every little thing. Because to us, like, spirituality really is everything, consciousness is everything, right? So what were some of your like best examples of like everyday little things that you do to just always incorporate your spiritual practice or your energies, some of those examples?
I love that. I love that so much. Well, I think of my meditation practice. So I think I'm practical. I'm very practical. I like to think of things in analogies and in terms of visuals. So like, I think of my meditation practice as the foundation of my life. And then if that's strong, if the cement is laid and the beams are up, then I'm going to be able to move around more freely in my house or in my life. When I don't set that foundation, I don't move as freely. There's a lot of controlling going on. Because I grew up in a home with an alcoholic mother and a codependent father, so 2 addicts. And a lot of what was passed down to me was very impulsive and reactive and addictive. So while I have come so far, I'm also really conscious and aware that I do have impulsive and addictive tendencies if I'm not setting that strong foundation, right? Because that's my recovery. And I'm really, really committed to that. So I do my best to, someone said everything is spiritual. Yes, I love that. Rob Bell had a tour called Everything is Spiritual, and I missed it. Wanted to go. Anyway, so yeah, I think of my meditation practice as the foundation. And then honestly, it's like you said, like simple things. Like, so I was out to dinner with a friend one day, like several years ago, and she was talking to me, and I was looking at her, but I wasn't actually like fully listening to her. And then I responded to what she had said, and she said to me, Heather, you need to listen with the intent of listening instead of listening with the intent of responding. And I was like, oh shit, like she like totally bagged me. And
I mean, that's such a great tip though. It really is.
It changed my life. Like, it was such a brilliant nugget. I stole it. It's a huge practice of mine. And not making everything about myself and showing up and holding space for the other person.
When I was growing up and in conversations, you're always thinking about what you're going to say next, and you're not paying attention really and giving full attention to the person that's talking. And once you notice that, it's amazing, and you feel way more connected when you're talking to the person.
Well, you do that. I can tell when you're not listening, and I go like this: focus.
Yeah,
focus.
But I'm not thinking about saying something else. I'm thinking about work usually.
But you have to be present, right? Present and actually hearing. And it's very obvious when someone's not doing that. And you know that you could be saying like, oh, elephants are flying and rainbows are green. Like, you can be saying it and they wouldn't even catch it because they're just like.
I'd be like, oh, great, babe.
But I do it all the time. Focus.
Love it. It's so true though, because like what's happening there is you're obviously being like very selfish because you're only thinking about yourself and how you'll look and how you'll appear. And then you walk around your life, and this was my case, just feeling like starved for connection, wondering why you can't feel a true emotional connection with your partner or with your friends or whatever. And it's just simply because you're not really listening. You're not actually listening to people. Mm-hmm. And so for me, meditation allows me to listen better. It also allows me to respond better, to respond instead of react. And, it's just those little things. I think having a meditation practice, whatever that means to you, however you do, it's the only non-negotiable that I have, with my clients. We form that because I believe it's such a strong foundation for the rest of your life, and because of that, you just show up differently in interactions, and you can use little mantras like listen with the intent of listening instead of listen with the intent of responding, and show up to your conversations. Like, I didn't come to this conversation with you guys being like, oh my God, so they're interviewing me and it's all about me. Like, no, like I mean, I'm really excited that you reached out, and it's awesome. And I want to get to know you guys and have a nice conversation, you know, and that energy is so different. But as you know, that's also the transition of the times. You know, we're in a different age right now, or it's progressing too. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So
that meditation, just to cover that point, that, you know, introducing meditation into people's lives teaches them how to be in the present moment, right? And that's really the first step of experiencing spirituality, is being present and noticing everything around you and not being stuck in future thought or past thought, but being present in the moment.
Yeah. And not beating yourself up when you go to the past or to the future, because I tend to attract, you know, like attracts like. So I tend to attract a lot of people who have addictive and perfectionistic personalities, and they beat themselves up so much when they notice themselves like, oh, like my meditation sucked this morning because I was just like so out of it and I just wasn't present. And actually that's not true, because they were present because they noticed that they were out of it. So, you know what I mean? And it's just this expectation that we throw onto it. So, you know, not beating yourself up too when you go to the past or you go to the future.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Kind of still on the same topic, but just I always found it helpful was, you know, the intent of listening instead of the intent of responding, but also with the intent of listening without the intent of feeling like you have to tell them what to do or solve their problem or tell them this. You know, have you ever noticed that you want to share, and then someone's like, oh, well, you got to do this, and then you got to do this, and then to make that better, you have to do this, and you know, and then it was like, no, I just wanted to share. But so I found that was really helpful too, is like, if they want your advice, they'll ask you. But in the meantime, they just want to share and have someone listen and be compassionate and comforting, but without being, you know, have you ever met people like that want to just like, oh, you got to do this, and then you got to do this, and if you don't do that, that's wrong, and then you got to do this. What?
That was me. You're describing a codependent behavior. I mean, characteristic that I was a huge codependent. That was me all over the place. And sometimes it wasn't even like, I wouldn't literally say like, you should do this, but in my head, I would be like, you need to do this so that you can like raise your vibration so you can be better. You know, it's like the snobby spirituality shit. You know what I mean? But really it was just my codependent behaviors. I was projecting that onto the situation, you know?
And it's funny because people will stop talking and sharing with you because subconsciously, maybe consciously, but subconsciously, because, you know, then they don't want someone just bossing them around, you know, and if they want your advice, they'll ask, be like, Heather, so in that situation, what would you do? You know, like they'll ask you. And I found that, you know, especially having clients and whatnot, like you have to be very sensitive about that because you don't want people to get guarded and like defensive, you know, they're like, oh, you know,
Right.
I just find that very helpful.
Yeah, totally.
And then
how did you guys meet? Sorry, I'm like hijacking this for a sec. How did you guys meet?
We met over.
Tell her. She knows when you're lying because she's spiritual. She can feel it.
What was it? We met over.
There, you see it.
It's been a while now.
Online.
Yeah, we met on what's that called? Plenty of Fish.
Oh, cool! I love it.
Real quick, I was going to cancel it because I was like, these people, like, it wasn't connecting. You know, they all just were not like into the things I was into. So I'm like, I didn't go on for like 6 months, and then I went on that day to cancel the account, and there was a message from him. And I was just going to kind of ignore it because I was like, I'm done with this, you know? So I was like, see you later.
And I almost didn't message her because I'm like super allergic to cats. And she wrote on there, oh, I love cats so much. I have a cat. So I almost didn't do it. I'm like, it's not going to be worth it. If we hit this off, she's going to have a cat and I'm going to be sick all the time. So I almost didn't do it. How funny is that?
And now I can't even have a cat. So I was the one that ended up suffering.
Yeah, you suffered.
But I'm convinced that
we're going to have to give away your cat?
Cure his allergies because I feel like we can cure every imbalance. So we just haven't figured that out yet with him. But yeah, my cat's not with us. He's with my dad. And I'm like a big cat person, so it's very sad.
So are we. I found it, my boyfriend's mother, like, basically psychically channeled this cat into our life. It was crazy. And of course, like, she found us for sure. And she was a stray, and like, she's like the love of our lives now. It's crazy. So that really resonates with me.
Oh my God, I can't spiritual and connected with energy. Like, I do energy healing, and anytime I would be doing an energy session, because I would do it remotely too. So anytime I'd be doing an energy session, the cat would come like pounding on the door and like jump right where I was doing the session, and he can like feel it. And he'd be like way, out across the house, but he would be there within seconds. Like, they can feel it. They're so tuned in. I love it. I love animals.
Oh, they're so intuitive. Our cat, so she's like, oh, sorry.
I don't think the cat liked me either, because every time I'd be over there, just come up and sleep right on my face.
That means he likes you.
And then I'd have to leave, though. He knew
they want to sleep on your face.
He made me leave all the time.
But he would leave like blind because his eyes are so puffy. And I was like, are you going to die? Like, you couldn't even see his eyeballs. But anyway, so hopefully one day.
God, he really liked you.
Oh, we got some more little heads. Thanks for the heads, guys.
Cute.
You guys over here, you guys can ask questions. Don't forget, we have Lola Castillo joined. Hi, welcome, everybody. Don't forget, we don't want you to feel like we're not paying attention. So,
so besides meditation, Heather, what else do you teach your clients?
Well, lots of shit. But honestly, I really feel I learned, like, one of my clients today, I had a session today, and she's just in just 5 sessions to just see, like, I know that you guys can so relate to this, to see the shifts that occur and how much they've grown by just trusting you and just flourishing in their life. It never ceases to blow my freaking mind. And when that happens, I always want to make sure that we take like a couple minutes to just like completely honor her, because I coach women. I'm open to men, but it's only women right now. And just to honor her for all the work that she's done, because it's so easy, like even for myself, it's so easy to blow past like everything that you've worked on and accomplished for yourself. And it's such a brave and courageous thing to do. So yeah, tangent again. We're just on tangents today. But anyways, so I do, so obviously meditation. There's a specific therapy that I do called inner child regression. The first session with my clients usually begins with that. So my clients usually come to me with a specific like emotional or behavioral pattern that they have, they want to release, or transform. And so like it typically starts with an inner child regression meditation session, which just I basically hold space and guide them through a healing where we go back to their younger self, where the impetus, of the moment where this particular pattern arose in this lifetime, and we kind of pull it out at the root. And then from there, I mean, just there's so many tools. It's just like infinite. But from there, depending on where they're at and what they're going through, we create a structured meditation practice for them to help them continue to move through that. And then, like 1 or 2 small daily practices that they can include, so that, by the end of our work together, they have a whole tool belt. They've got meditations, they've got in the moment practices, and by the end, they can guide themselves through the inner child regression. So they don't need me anymore, which is the ultimate goal,
Yeah.
Cool. Do you ever do any past life regressions?
So I have had one client go to a past life before.
Oh, cool.
I myself have gone, like, guided myself through one before, and only one time it's been like a past life, and that was trippy. But it's not a regular thing. Do you guys do that?
I did last year. I went to one that someone, what was her name? Deidre. She's a psychic and an intuitive, and she was doing a past life regression class down in Fort Lauderdale. And I went, and it was pretty intense. I remember I was in some type of war in Japan, and I got shot like right through the mouth, and then I woke up. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it again. I don't know if I'm ready.
Yes.
It is intense. It's super intense. Mine was really intense as well, and like so intense that I don't even remember it. Which is, but I guess it healed, so it's whatever, But yeah, I know it's so trippy. It's so crazy, It's just it blows my mind.
I know. It wasn't. All I remember is I remember seeing that vision, and then my mouth was just like humming, and I could like feel the pain of that. Actually, not to the full extent, but I could feel my teeth chattering.
How exciting! Yes, it's exciting. Actually, Heather, you might know this, and anyone listening, if you guys want to try this, feel free. Have you ever done the staring exercise where you stare at somebody or you stare into a mirror, into their eyes, and you could actually see their face shift into other people that they've been?
No.
Do it. You have to do it, Heather. It's so cool.
Okay.
But I'm not even joking. It's as long as you're not fearful and scared, like fear is going to block anything, right? So if you go into like scared to death, it probably won't happen. But just stay open, be at peace. And I've done it with quite a few people. And
this person's done it.
Oh, see, I'm not making it up. Yes, you've done that.
Hi, Catherine.
Yeah, you should come on in a little bit and tell us about it.
Should I ever come on now? Do you want to come on and talk about it?
You want to come on and talk about your mirror or staring past life exercise? You can if you want. We're having fun. We're really nice. We won't be mean, I promise.
Yeah, we're super chill.
Do it so you can try it.
Heather, if you're ever in Florida, Paul did it too. Oh, is that what did you do it, Paul? Oh, your ex-girlfriend did it. Okay. So what you do is really you want the lighting to be kind of dim, almost, nothing too bright, just kind of like nighttime dim lighting. And you just sit and you don't blink, and you find someone that will stare, and you just sit and stare like into their eyes, but into their eyes. You can't like move around. You have to stare into their eyes. Again, window to the soul kind of makes sense, right? So you stare into their eyes and you really can't blink. If you blink, it like starts over, but you'll start to see kind of the surrounding part of them starts to get like white, or just kind of turns into light. Like everything around them just kind of disappears essentially. I mean, everything's energy, right? So whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of becomes white, and then you'll see their face kind of go blurry. And when it starts to go blurry, it's getting ready to shift to, a different, and a different face, a different, life that they had either lived in the past or the future. I mean, past, present, future, they're all the same, essentially. Like, there's no time. So you'll see all these different faces, and then they'll start changing. If you get really into the zone, it'll like start flashing like flashcards. You'll see like a second of one person, then you'll see a second of another. I'm not talking, subtle things. I'm talking full blown, like different person. Like someone saw me with like cornrows. Someone saw me, different skin, everything changes, like different like hats and outfits. And I remember that was a good wake up call for some of the people that I did it with. They were actually skeptical about the idea of past lives and whatnot. And it actually happened. They saw like tons of people shift in me. And after that, they were like, okay, I get it. This is like legit, so it actually is a good experience for someone who's on the edge of thinking like, oh, is there more going on? And I love it. And you could do it in the mirror as well. So, but if you don't have to try it, but I think from what I can tell, you would love it because it's really cool. And then if you get even better at it, you can start to see like movies of different experiences. So it starts to transform into just like a movie clip, like maybe a certain experience that you had, or, maybe you were in a war or something, hopefully something nice. But I'm just saying you start to see movie clips. And I love telling people about that because it's really easy. I've had a lot of people have success doing it with me that were really not spiritual yet at all. And they were very skeptical. But I think the universe does that on purpose to help their like aha moment, and they'll start crying because it really is intense, I think you would love it. But we have had some comments here.
Yeah.
I'm literally in bed in the dark watching this. Next time, you don't want to we can have a pajama party. But yeah, next time you can come on, but we don't care if you're in pajamas.
At 20 of 8, you're in bed.
You can even come on and not show your
Come
picture.
on.
There's like an audio option if you want to just come and tell us like your experience, but no pressure. We totally understand. I'm like that too. Like, you know, I'm like, don't show me on camera without my hair being somewhat decent.
Yes, sometimes.
Or like,
well, he'll randomly shoot things for Periscope, and I'm like, you know, it was like a stupid like bar on my head, and like I was like, no, we gotta have some rules
Don't get me in
here.
the picture.
Right? There are female rules. We need to feel our best goddess self.
Brawn or something, right? Like you just get out of bed, and I'm like, no.
That's a big no-no.
But you've learned now for the most part, right? Sort of. Sometimes he slips a little bit.
See how it goes.
But does that excite you? I kind of feel like that would be exciting for you to try.
Yeah, that sounds really. I'm super interested in it.
Florida, you can come over and we can do it.
That doesn't sound too good.
Yeah, I'm in.
We can do the eye exercise.
I mean, that'll bond us like even more.
But I turn into a lot of people. I have everyone sees me with the corn roll guy. Like I turn in, you know, real dark skin and corn rolls. Like a lot of people have seen that. So that one comes up quite a bit. And then he saw the first time he did it with me, or did the eye exercise with me. At first it didn't work. Remember, you were like, we were doing the eye exercise, and then all of a sudden his face like looked like he saw a ghost. You know, all of a sudden he's like normal, and all of a sudden this like, whoa. And I was like, he saw it. And then you like freaked out for a second, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because he totally, I think he wasn't.
You're like,
I know, but I think he wasn't expecting it.
And then the cat jumped on my face.
Yeah. So. I think you were still like thinking like, oh, this might not work, or she's probably full of shit. And then when it did happen, like he literally went white, you know, and it's not one of those things where you're scared, but you're just surprised because you've never really seen it. And they literally changed. I mean, if you Google it, there's people online that talk about it. I'm not the only one talking about this, so I'm not crazy. Any of you all watching?
I don't think you're crazy.
It's cool.
I'm interested.
Yeah, and it really is a great wake-up call for people riding the fence. You know, when I was little, it's kind of natural to believe in past lives. It's like more natural, I think. Because when I was little, I always used to think, well, why are some people living on the streets? And why are some people living in castles? And well, that's not fair. Why are some people poor and sick and starving? And then some people have tons of food. I remember thinking, like, why would we have just one experience from one perspective? Like, what's the point of having just one perspective? And then when you start to realize, like, we're having tons of perspectives, right? From, you know, whether it's different lives or this and that, like, we're seeing Earth and reality from so many different perspectives. No wonder we can evolve so much, because we're seeing it from so many different angles and lives and perspectives, right? I mean, how can we evolve if we've had one experience? Like, oh, my one experience was a homeless man. That was the only experience we had. That's just one perspective on, you know, on an experience. Right. So I just remember never really thinking that made sense, even as a kid. And my mom's response was always like, that's just the way it is. And I remember thinking, it doesn't feel right. And he's like, that doesn't really make sense to me. So I think it's kind of natural. Like,
and then you take it even further, and then you supposedly get judged on that one perspective. And when you add that all up, it just doesn't make sense. I think you did a YouTube video. I was watching your YouTube channel about, you know, heaven and what is heaven, and it was pretty good. Do you remember what you said? You were talking about.
Do you remember saying anything about that?
You were talking about, you know, heaven is really experiencing oneness and of oneness, and it's not a place. It's not heaven. You know, it's not a place in the clouds.
Right. I think that there's a lot of. I think that we really, as humans, sometimes we want answers so deeply that we just like. We want to grasp for an answer. And I think that that's doing such a disservice to like the mystery of life. So like, I'm not going to confirm or deny whether there is like a heaven after we die, because I don't know, but I do know, you know, A Course in Miracles says that heaven is not a space, or it's just an awareness of perfect oneness. So when I'm in a space of oneness, when I'm experiencing oneness with another being, or when I'm feeling peace, that's heaven. And when I'm not feeling peace and I'm not experiencing a genuine connection with myself and someone else, that feels like hell. To me, like it doesn't matter. Like, I think asking the question, does heaven exist, is a really stupid question to ask, because in terms of like beyond this dimension, because we don't know, but we can create heaven on earth. Like, I think that's where the juice is, right? I don't know.
It's true.
What do you think?
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if heaven exists, because everyone believes differently and everyone has their own beliefs. But if you can create, happiness and joy in your life right now in the present moment, then that's really the purpose of life.
Preach.
Hallelujah.
I've heard, and this resonates with me. I mean, you guys don't have to agree. Paul, any of you guys can jump on any moment. Paul, I know you're like, love this stuff, so you can come on and contribute if you want. Paul loves all this stuff, so I just don't want him to be shy. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh, so the idea, like, how some people will come on and say, oh, I had a near-death experience, or I had something and I saw hell. I saw demons and I saw fire, and they'll come back and say, I know hell exists because I saw it, and I see these demons and I've seen them. And you'll hear people say that. And like I said, I'm not denying that it's true or not true. I'm just sharing kind of like my interpretation of it from my perspective. So, I don't want anyone to get mad at me, but I feel like when we have these experiences, it's coming from their own belief system. Like, we can create these experiences through our own beliefs. So if I believe that, like, for example, like, what's that called when you get possessed or whatever? Like, I feel like if someone believes that can happen, or they believe in that experience, you can technically allow it through your belief system. But if I sit there and say, no, that doesn't exist in my reality, like, that's not something that is part of what I'm going to call my belief system, that isn't something that will happen in my experience, because we're literally co-creators of the universe, of the earth, of our experiences, of everything happening. And I've had quite a few channelings talk to me about that, because I was always curious about it. And I would say, well, what about this possession thing? And that was kind of their response. And it really resonated with me. It resonated in the sense that I was like, we are co-creating everything. So why wouldn't it make sense that we are co-creating these things that are happening within our bodies? So people will say, oh, these negative energies are like jumping on me and they're attaching me, and they'll like get all upset thinking that these negative energies are sticking to them and whatnot. But again, that's another belief system that they can co-create in their reality through their belief system. But I don't believe in that. That's not part of my reality. So therefore that isn't part of my reality, because if we're creating, so that resonated with me quite a bit. So that kind of like lines up with the hell and heaven thing, So Raphael was the one channeling at the time, and he would say they would go to this hell temporarily, but it was with their creation. They created this, experience. And then once they came out of it, they reflected and said, wow, this isn't something that needs to be. Like, I can switch my thinking, I can switch my belief system, and then they come out of it. And then this quote hell that they've seen in their dreams or in that experience will disappear, because they've switched their reality by switching their belief system. So for me, it resonated a lot, because it makes sense, and it makes us feel powerful because we're creating it. You know what I mean? Like, we're all co-creators. So I just rambled for a really long time there, but that really felt good to me, because it makes sense then why people are having various experiences. It happens to some, it doesn't happen to others, or some people have those visions, some people see this demon. Well, yeah, we're all going to have individual experiences because we're individual co-creators, you know what I mean? And all of our belief systems are different.
Right.
And it was just very empowering, and that just resonated so much with me. So, all right, I'm done with my rant.
Yeah. No, No, that's so good. I love that, because essentially what you're doing is you're blaming, again, it's like you are in hell because you're allowing your, your ego, your fear-based mind to hijack you. And so and then that causes you to blame something outside of yourself for the reason why you're feeling a certain way or experiencing a certain thing. Of course, there are exceptions to that, but for the most part, I mean, I completely agree with you that it really all comes back to the self. And when you're ever going in a direction where it's like avoidance of looking at your own thoughts or belief systems, which takes a lot of courage, right? And sometimes a lot of work, and sometimes it can just switch instantly. And those are great moments. But I don't know about you, but most of the time, at least the big kahunas, they take some balls. Time. They take patience. They take their big balls. They take some time. I need, it's like building a garden. It really takes some watering and some nurturing. And I think that some people don't want to do that, and it's much easier for them to just project this silly belief system instead of actually looking within and doing the work. And that's where that vlog originated from. It's just no, look within yourself. You can, like you're saying, you can create heaven or you can create hell. It's up to you. It's how you choose to see it. And even in the midst of a really crazy ass transition, you can create hell out of that, or you can create heaven out of that. You can find the grace and the peace in the chaos. You can. But that takes discipline and commitment and consistency, and most people don't want to do that. But there are several people who do, and they're watching this blab.
People sit there and they're so unhappy, or they're so frustrated with life, or their job sucks, or they don't like their relationship, and they want, like you said, they want to blame everything around them for their unhappiness. Oh, I'm unhappy because, I'm not getting paid enough, or I'm happy because he's a jerk, or, everything's outside of themselves. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, this is just a mirror reflecting what you're putting out. I mean, it's great.
The real work, right, is staying in the relationship and trying to change your belief system, and changing your belief system and then making an empowered choice. That's the work, because if you don't change your belief system, you're just going to get into a relationship and repeat the same damn lesson.
You're right.
Hey, Richard, Mr. Jones.
And that's the work.
But they never want to take responsibility. They don't want to sit there and say, oh, this is my doing. This is the energy I'm emitting. It's hard for them to take that responsibility. I mean, because we can become masters of our emotions. I mean, I feel like being a master, that's one of the main things, because anything around you could be happening, chaos, people being mean to you, this, that. I mean, anything could be happening, but if you're able to control your emotions in that moment and not let anyone else affect you, because you're essentially giving them power if you let them piss you off or you let them make you mad. You're handing over power to them, saying okay, what you're doing is making me feel this way and affecting me or making me angry. But if you can sit there and be calm, no judgment, no anger. I mean, you can handle situations without letting people walk all over you and do things. There's a way to keep boundaries, but without making yourself frustrated or lowering your own vibration or getting angry. There's a nice fine line, because you still want to keep your boundaries and not let people take advantage. So people sometimes get confused, I think. They think, oh, well, I can't let someone do that, or I can't let someone say that. And that was one thing I wanted to ask you was, a simple thing. How, from your perspective, how would you handle or coach someone that comes to you and says, oh, well, I got these people in my life and they're mean to me, or they're constantly putting me down, or they're insulting me? What would be your answer to them from a spiritual perspective, how to handle that? Because I'm a coach too. So I get people asking that all the time. And it's just nice to hear your perspective as being, from another coach's perspective. I'm sure it'll be similar, but it's fun to hear how you explain it and your views on that.
I would say, what part of you believes that you deserve that? And I think that's where we need to get real with ourselves compassionately, because you deserve, a mantra that I use often with my clients is, I deserve what I desire. And you can take that either in the realm of things that are positive that you attract, and you can also bring that into what you negatively attract. But we don't want to admit that we sabotage ourselves and desire negative things. And I think it's interesting for us to just observe and to look at that. What part of you believes that you deserve that? Because that's essentially what the belief system is, you know? And that's where the work comes in, and the juice, you know, is really just like self-inquiry. What part of me actually believes that I deserve this?
Yeah, it's not easy either.
You know, I think starting there.
You know, you can do great one week and reflect positivity and happiness and joy, and then something can throw you in a rut, and it's hard to get out of it and even realize that you're in that rut. And I think, you know, it's consistency. If you're consistently meditating or reflecting on yourself every day, you can catch yourself more quickly in those ruts and get out of it. Because all it takes is a shift in perspective, really.
And also too, like, I know there is this like underlying thing that's still like lurking around, you know, that's like, you're not spiritual if you're not positive all the time. And that's, I mean, it's just not reality. It's not it. Like, I get in funks, absolutely. But you know, like, you have to allow yourself to ride the waves of your emotions, because as you know, like in this Aquarian age that we're in, like so much unconscious stuff is constantly coming up, and you could be like joyful and happy at 9 a.m. and then at 11 a.m. you're like in a fetal position on the kitchen floor, and you're like, what's going on? Like, you're like, what's going on? Like, you got to let yourself ride the wave of your emotions. And you know, your mind can only take you so far, and it's taken us as far as it can go. And we need to learn to trust our emotions and to move with our emotions instead of letting them drown us, you know. And that's so much of the practice. And as you guys know, that comes from, you know, awareness and being in your practice and strengthening your energy fields and all that good stuff that we like to do, because it keeps us, you know, our sensitive souls really strong and understanding that. And I think, like, you know, like you were saying, Jason, like that's what we need to do. We need to ride the waves of our emotions. We can't get caught up in like, how do I, like, can I meditate my way into happiness? Like, yes, but like maybe you need to experience sadness right now. And that's perfectly fine and beautiful.
First step, you're right. You have to, you know, a lot of people, and I do this all the time too, where you put off that emotion or that negative feeling or that sadness because you don't want to feel it, but you really need to feel it and just embrace it and move on, because it's always going to be there.
I think you're so right. I think our greatest addiction in this community is trying to figure out why we feel a certain way.
That's true.
And that creates so much stuckness and resistance, and so much, like, we get so hard on ourselves. And I do it too. Like, I think we're all babies at this, you know, and I do it too. I've gotten so much better at it, but I still do it too. But we get so addicted to, like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? Can I intuitively tune into this? And it's just like, feel, experience, be here now, Ram Dass, right? And boom, drop
emotion. Then once you start to, it starts to become somewhat exciting in a sense, because even though you might experience emotions initially that may be sad or frustrated or whatever it is you might be feeling, when you look at it spiritually, you know, it's a tool. You know, you look at it and say, oh, okay, I'm feeling sad, you know, and then you reflect, you figure out, where's it coming from? Why am I reflecting that? What is this reflection showing me? You know, so it kind of, in a sense, when you can kind of feel it, but then step away from it for a second and say, okay, what's going on? You know, you kind of like assess, be like, the universe is showing me this. Why am I reflecting this energy? Why is the universe bringing me a bunch of bullies? Like, we had that. We were like, all these bullies kept coming into our lives. Remember? Bullies.
What bullies?
Bullies. What?
Who?
Roommate.
Oh, okay.
Boss. And don't you remember now? Is it coming back to you? So we had these bullies.
So coming back.
I just call them.
What would you call them?
Assholes.
He calls them assholes. I call them bullies. But again, it's like you look at it and say, all right, why, or, you know, what energy are we putting out that's reflecting this, or what is the universe wanting us to work on? Clearly it's wanting us to work on maybe finding a way to handle that type of person, becoming better at creating boundaries maybe, or maybe better at standing up for ourselves and not letting people try to like, because bullies, they try to like manipulate and push you around, and they'll try to insult and say nasty things, so I was like, okay, clearly there's something that the universe, right, is wanting us to work on in this type of scenario. We haven't been attracting bullies in a while. We got better at it. You see what I mean? So it's kind of like.
So what do you feel was the lesson for you there?
Well, you know what it was for you.
Just to stand up and make note that, it's not acceptable, and you're not going to be treated that way. And just like you have to feel your emotions, you have to voice what you're feeling to other people too, for that reflection to stop. Because once you voice it and you make that, because that's the feeling, and you're expressing it verbally, it causes it to stop. That person will either go out of your life because you don't need that to show you that anymore.
Another good example was this particular person was being mean to his mom, and I think she had to work on it too. And she one day confronted him in a nice, loving way and said, what you said to me wasn't acceptable. We talk with respect and love in this house. And if you're not going to talk to me with love and respect, then, you're going to have to leave, or, this and that, or it's not going to work, but you say it in a nice, loving way, but you're essentially creating boundaries and letting them know, this is unacceptable. So I think a lot of it has to do with just not letting people take advantage or abuse you, or, come in and some people, I think, naturally would try to just avoid it, or just, if they don't know what to say. But it's like, no, we're making this clear that this isn't acceptable, and this is not how you treat us, right? And then as soon as she said that, his energy completely shifted. And so, it was amazing. He was nice. He was respectful. He was kind. He was being extra polite. And there was never a problem again. So it's funny how when you shift your energy, right, the reflection changes. So she was able to switch that reflection immediately with that particular conversation. And she, again, it wasn't mean. She wasn't nasty. She was very calm, but she just created those boundaries and said, this is unacceptable, and there's a nice way to say those things without having a nasty energy,
Oh yeah.
But we had, and then we're standing up more to things at work and saying like, no, I'm not going to do that. This is what I can do. I'm not going to do more than this, because that's just not, it's too much work for you to do. And basically saying like, this is what I'm going to do. And if you're not happy with that, then, I'm going to go elsewhere. And then they were like, fine with that. Now everything is much better in that sense, so that shifted the way, people in his work were, treating him too. And it's amazing. It's unbelievable. So it does become a great tool. But you don't want to ignore it. Some people say, oh, well, I'll just ignore my sadness, or ignore my anxiety, or ignore this. Like, no, look at it, because there's a tool there, right, to help you understand why the universe is reflecting that. So it can become interesting when you start to realize that there's a reason,
Totally. I think it's so important to do that. And I think it usually comes, right, or for me always personally, when I allow myself to experience the feeling and notice when I'm trying to, notice if my mind goes to that place of like, okay, so why am I feeling this way? Like on the hamster wheel, I'm just allowing myself to experience the feeling, because when you first feel the feeling, you're probably in a more reactive state than a responsive state. And it can be very like, needy, controlling, manipulative. Like, let yourself experience the feeling. And then you'll know intuitively when you're ready to sit down and connect with spirit and ask, like, what is my assignment? What is my lesson? And sometimes we're meant to feel the feeling for, an hour, sometimes a day, and sometimes a few months. There's a certain situation in my life where I'm still experiencing the emotion of it. And I know that an answer will reveal itself when the time is right. But right now I'm healing some wound, right? It's taking a long time, and that's okay, because every every emotion, you know, like this needs to be like tended to like that, you know? So, yeah.
Oh, we had a comment over here.
Ooh.
Someone wants you to come sing at their karaoke bar.
You got it.
Oh, you sing. We heard
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
You're way better than us.
I was like, Aaron, she's singing karaoke, or she's singing.
I like Taylor Swift. You were
Swift on the
singing.
piano. You got to listen to this.
I like Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Yeah. My piano's right there. It's next to me.
Did you take lessons, or are you just naturally born?
Aaron loves Taylor.
Yeah.
T Swift is the bomb. T Swift is goals. No, so I mean, I started singing when I was like 3 well, before that. I was humming before I could talk, you know? And that's, honestly, that was like my dream when I was little, was like to be a singer. It's all I wanted. So like, you know, I'd wake my mom up at 5 a.m., lucky her, and we'd put on a Disney movie and I would reenact the whole thing and sing it and perform it. It was just like my favorite thing in the whole wide world. And my dad is super into music, and he has like such an eclectic taste. I'm like so grateful, because I'll never forget, like when I was little, he'd put me in my car seat and we just drive around. Like his favorite thing to do is to like drive with the windows down and listen to music, and we would listen to everything: the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, who's my favorite band. We'd listen to like indie rock. We'd listen to pop music, like everything. So I owe so much to my dad too, because he instilled like the love for all types of music in me. So like, you know, so many people are like pretentious about what they listen to, and I think it's so important to love it all. Anyway, so
Probably
I took voice lessons.
Past life.
I mean, probably. Yeah, because it does. It's very natural to me. I did take voice lessons, but I tend to I'm a bit of a rebel. Like I tend to give the finger to a lot of systems that I get into. It's been like a pattern in my life. So I started taking voice lessons, and I just was like, why can't I sing pop songs? Why do I have to continue to sing musical theater? In traditional voice training, you sing musical theater, and singing pop songs and using your head voice is something like ah, but then your chest voice is ah, like that. And I wanted to use my chest voice more, but they wouldn't let me, and I was just like, I'm done. And so I just kind of quit, and I sang all the time in my room, and I would just practice. I remember I was obsessed with trying to hit runs that Christina Aguilera did, and I would just practice over and over and over and over and over again. And that was super fun to me. I didn't realize that was you're putting in your 10,000 hours or whatever. To me, it was just I want to hit this run. I want to do that cool thing that Christina does with her voice. Yeah. And then I started doing talent competitions, just locally. And I cut a CD when I was 18, and I tried out for The Voice, and I didn't make it. And I realized I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want to do that. I want to still sing, but I don't, it's supposed to be different, and I knew that. And so then I just started incorporating it into what I already do. I started fusing it into my meditations, and, I'll just randomly do it on Periscope and on YouTube and stuff, and just for fun, because I love to do it.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool because it's just a nice departure because a lot of the work that we do, it's beautiful and I love it, don't get me wrong, but it can be heavy, and I like to bring the lightness of music into things too,
the concept multidimensional versus linear energy. You've heard the term multidimensional, right?
Well, I have, yeah.
Music is multidimensional, music and art. And it might sound confusing to anyone watching, but when you think of something that's linear, you have to do it one at a time, and you can only focus on one thing at a time. That's what linear means. And then when you think of multidimensional energy, it's you can see or hear multiple things at once, right? So when you think of music, you can hear all the notes and the sounds and the instruments and all these things at once, and you're able to process that sound. And that's a multidimensional skill. And I think there was one channeler, I think it was Cryon, that said that, was saying that art and music are the two multidimensional energies here on Earth that we have right now that we use regularly. And to me, that's so powerful, because when you think about music and how much it can impact you or the feelings you get, and same thing with art, it kind of makes sense, because you're really tapping in
totally
so many dimensions and energies all in one moment. And for example, you're in a room with 100 conversations. You can only kind of tune into one conversation at a time. I mean, you could hear the ruckus of the, all that, but to really hear what they're saying, you got to like tune in one at a time. So that's kind of like a linear skill, right? It's like, I can only really focus. But the more we evolve on Earth, our DNA is activating, things are shifting. We're going to actually become more multidimensional with our skills. And we're going to actually start to notice more multidimensional senses, which can be overwhelming. I'm already starting to notice it, and it is overwhelming. But I think as our bodies shift, is kind of chaotic during the shift. But
totally,
I'm super sensitive to noises. Like, I can't handle a lot of noises, because I think when you start to shift those multidimensional senses, like you start hearing things all at once. You start to hear the bird and the car and that person walking. You start hearing everything that you kind of didn't notice before, but you're starting to hear everything all at once. And I can't, and a lot of these ascension groups talk about that a lot, how they kind of have to like isolate themselves a little bit for a while until they start acclimating to some of these shifts or whatnot. It just made me think about that when you were singing, because I was thinking about how much music can impact you, and it's so powerful. There's so much more going on,
Oh yeah, I love music. I'm reading this awesome. I was grabbing this book. I'm reading this amazing book called The Healing Power of Sound. It's really amazing. It's really about, and Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way, she wrote the foreword to it. I wish the foreword was longer, because I love her. But anyway, it's so great because it's all about it's brain science and research on the healing power of sound. And they talk about drum circles and how that is so healing, and it's so good. I just kind of got into it, and they talk about, like, depending on there's this really cool section about the morning. Like, it's really like creating your sound, like your own soundtrack for your life. And they talk about your sound breakfast. So like how you wake up in the morning, depending on who you are. So like for myself, I'm a light sleeper and I'm a morning person. Like, give me 5 a.m. It can't come soon enough. Like, I love the morning. So they recommend like recorded nature sounds. But if someone's like a heavy sleeper, like more like drumming noises is going to be better for you. And it's just like really, really beautiful. Talking about how when you create this like soundtrack, this sound map for your life, how you can bring like it significantly lowers your stress, and it's just amazing. So I'm so excited to dive into this because I'm writing my second book and my album at the same time, and I'm kind of in the early writing. The album's basically done, but I'm also like, I don't know, I've like paused and I've felt called to kind of do some research and just kind of like get into new things. And so Spirit guided me to the bookstore yesterday. And this is a great spiritual practice. This is one of my favorite spiritual practices, is if you go to like Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore, your indie bookstore, or whatever, and go into the parking lot, sit in your car and place your hands on your sacral chakra and just say, thank you, Spirit, for guiding me to exactly what I need. And just like let go and just notice what you pick up, and it's just such a reflection of what your soul is longing for. So of course I gravitate towards this. Do you know who Lindsay Sterling is?
Who?
Lindsay Sterling.
Do you?
No.
He's like this super rad, let me see. I want to make sure I call her exactly the right thing. She's a violinist, but she's okay, so she's just an American violinist. I didn't know if she called herself something specific.
Oh, was she on one of those competition shows and she won?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
America's Got Talent?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So she wrote a book called like The Only Pirate at the Party, and so it's all about her own unique journey and how she just paved her own path musically, and was just very independent and determined and just did her own thing and stayed in her own lane. And I picked it up and I was just like, I don't even like listen to her music or anything, like, you know. And so I picked it up and I was just like, this feels good in my hands. This feels right. So I just held on to it. And then I gravitated towards the biography section, and I picked up Gloria Steinem's new book, and I picked up Diane Furstenberg's book, and I realized, okay, so this is a pattern. They're all women who paved their own path. Interesting, cool. And so, but I didn't feel called to like stick with Gloria Steinem or Diane's books. So I put those down and kept Lindsay's in my hand. And then I just felt drawn to like the back right corner of the store, and it was it's like such a small little corner, and it's completely dedicated to music. And I was like, Lindsay's a musician, interesting. So I like sat down and I found a biography about Fleetwood Mac, and I opened the book, and they were talking about like super fascinating stuff. I mean, like, to me it's fascinating because I freaking love Fleetwood Mac, but like how they were writing Gold Dust Woman, and they were all taking hits of cocaine and then just like writing the song. And I was just like, oh, that's how that was born. Okay. You know, but I just put it back, and then I found this book, and it just like, I held it, and everything in my body was like, yes, you know? So it was cool because what it did is it just provided me with, you know, physical representation of what my intuition was guiding me to, which is honestly what I'm feeling right now is just really exploring more what music means to me, and how I can continue to express it in a way that is independent and brave and honest and serves other people. And it was so cool because, and it's such an amazing exercise to do. I do this whenever I feel a little bit of stagnancy. I go to the bookstore and I ask myself to be guided, and it's like always what I need. It's amazing.
That's a good practice. I actually did that a few months ago, and I was led to a book on Akashic Records, and I bought it.
And did you read it?
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to take this as a sign to actually read it, because it's been sitting on my bookshelf, and I haven't read it yet.
Well, you got to pick it up now.
It was like the timing. It's like, well, he's at the bookstore. He might as well take advantage, but he's not going to read it for like 2 years.
Until Heather
mentions it again. Yeah. Well, I had the same like aha moment with the bookstore. I would say that my first spiritual like wake up call had to do with like hearing spirit in my ear, like a voice, like a literal voice, and being like scared to death initially being like, oh my God, am I like schizophrenic? Am I like losing my mind? You know, it's one of those things where you're like, and I like go running to the spiritual bookstore because there was a part of me that still felt like, okay, this is spiritual. Like, I don't think I'm like sick, you know, because I was still very new and not, you know, understanding a lot. So I ran to the bookstore, and literally it was on like one of the little things that like make it stand out, you know, like on a little whatever. And it literally almost had like light around it. Like, oh, Erin, this is for you. Like, I feel like it was like singing. And it was a Doreen Virtue book, and it was like pink. And then when I first read it, I mean, I bought it and I brought it home, and literally what it said was, oh, sometimes spirit is going to talk to you, and you could hear them. You can hear spirit talking to you. You can hear it like a voice. I mean, they literally like worded everything that I needed to hear to bring peace to my situation. And then from that point forward, I was like, oh, this is so great. Oh my God, this is exciting. You know, so I went from being scared to being led to that book literally immediately. I went like the next day, but I was so scared that I turned on the radio because I didn't want it to be quiet, because I didn't want to accidentally hear something again. So I was like, oh, I got to make noises in the room. And then it was my alarm clock. So my alarm clock didn't go off, and I missed class. Like, I was in chiropractic school then, and I missed class, and it became this like traumatic day. But in the end, it was like, well, you know, the universe is like, we got to do what we got to do to get there and wake up. And that was literally that one moment. And then from there, it just spiraled. You know, sometimes it just takes that one moment, but those little signs from the universe are fun. Like, they're really
they're awesome. They're so awesome. And especially when it's like, you know, especially when it's sacral chakra related, because it's such like a big chakra. There's so much in there. And I know, like, you know, it's just when you're feeling like stuck and stagnant, it's amazing to let yourself be guided to what you need. It's just so cool. And I also realized, you know, sitting down and reflecting, that the book that I had previously read was Sarah Bareilles' like my favorite female musician ever. I love her. And I read her biography last. And so again, there's just this theme of women in music coming up. And so I really need, you know, I know that I need to listen to that. And of course, if you feel resistance after that, like that's another sign that you really need to go there. So I really need to go there, because I am feeling a little bit of resistance. Yeah. Which is good. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the challenge.
You have a beautiful voice. It'll be fun to see, you know, how you're able to integrate that with your path and your spirituality. It'll be fun to watch you and see what happens. Because when I heard your voice, I was like, oh my God, she sounds like a superstar.
Oh, thank you. I love to sing. I adore it. I don't play piano because I love playing piano. I play piano because, like, who wants to rely on anybody else to play for them? You know what I mean? And also, like, for songwriting, it's obviously like super important. But yeah, so I'm really like, I've been feeling called lately to just be open. I just feel like there's a songwriter, a band, like something in the next year or two that's gonna come in. So I'm waiting for it, and I'm prepping.
Yeah, I meant to mention this when you mentioned the rebel thing. I feel like being a light worker is part of being a rebel, because I think we're here to break down old paradigms, because not all of them are dysfunctional, but there's a lot of old energy that is dysfunctional in a sense, that could, and not even dysfunctional. Some are dysfunctional, some are just older and can be revamped to be more of like a newer, conducive energy to where collective is now and what we're needing. That's either more balanced, you know, there's something. And I feel like light workers tend to have that rebellious nature, but in a good way. You know what I mean? That's kind of like our role. Like we sit there and be like, this, you know, this job system thing. Like I feel like jobs in general, everyone's like, a lot of people are miserable and unhappy. There's a lot of like hierarchy, people feeling like they're better than you because they're, you know, your boss, or, you know, I just feel like there's a lot of negative energy in the working world. So that's just kind of a perfect example of things that I think will start to shift and bring more joy and balance and passion into all aspects of people's lives in a lot of ways. So it's kind of fun to watch how these old paradigms, at first it looks like they're crumbling and it's like, oh, the world's crumbling, but really it's just rearranging itself into a new pattern, a new energy. You know what I mean? So I just like that you mentioned that rebel thing, because I'm a big fan of the rebellious light workers.
Me too. My whole life is very like, it's very like seemingly contradictions and all of that. Like my boyfriend's he's not a believer, he's atheist, and we have an awesome relationship, you know, and I really like watching Wendy Williams' talk show. Like, you know, like we can have these different parts of ourselves that are, you know, like embrace shallow parts of yourselves, or what, you know, society might call shallow. Like it doesn't make you less spiritual. And I also think, you know, in terms of relationships, like, I mean, absolutely, like having same like values is like incredibly important, but like they don't have to meditate as well. I mean, it's so amazing that you guys share it. It's so beautiful. I love that. I love being in the energy of you guys like sharing that. And it's so beautiful and wonderful. And also it can be beautiful and wonderful to have two people who are very different being the soil for each other to grow in their own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's experience is their own discovery process around finding their joy, their passion, the things that motivate them and make them feel connected to themselves and to who, you know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't matter how they go about it. Like whatever, as long as he's feeling passion and joy and excitement, I mean, what else is there? Right? Like we're here.
The rest of it's just beliefs, you know,
all of it is
you don't have to believe what he believes, and he doesn't have to believe what you believe.
Right.
I mean, two people can, like you said, be so different, but living a life of love and happiness and excitement and fulfillment. And really, that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Know. So, it's so
like
beautiful.
It's so individual. We had a few comments here. I just wanted to see, someone said, or did you know women are naturally born with a feel for spirituality? I didn't know that. Tell us some more about that. He said some just don't consciously know it. Very interesting. Very interesting. I wanted to bring up just a brief topic about being an empath, but I wanted to ask you and tell you that sometimes when you do blabs, if sometimes the conversation might shift to a different topic that's kind of interesting or different than the original, you could actually send out a tweet with the new title. Like if I was going to ask you and say, I want to talk, because it gets more people interested, because it's like, oh, well, I didn't like the initial topic, but now I like this topic. That's cool.
Right. I mean, we're like not even talking about what we were. I mean, we are, but we aren't.
So I wanted to have an experiment if like maybe you or both of us like tweeted out like, hey, talking about being a sensitive empath or something. Because I wanted to ask you about being an empath. I just was curious for us to just try it out. And because it is kind of neat, because being a blab, you can kind of jump around from different topics, and it's kind of nice to like let people know.
Oh no, where did they go? Guys, they left.
No, we didn't
bring them back.
Oh.
So we don't really know how to change the topic very well because it just booted us out.
What did you do? Did you do it, Heather? Did you?
I'm doing it right now. Oh. I just tweeted.
Change topic.
It's just an experiment because, we're learning this blab thing too. And it's fun. I like blabs. People watching have been somewhat quiet.
I do.
Share.
I love you. First of all, I love you guys. I love our conversation, but I do have to go in 15 minutes because I haven't had dinner and I'm freaking starving.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I really want to talk about this.
I was going to tell you that, makes I can't. I don't have my glasses on.
What is it?
Being a sensitive empath, and what does that mean?
All the feels, all the time.
No, it's crazy. It's intense. But that's what I was going to tell you earlier. Like,
intense.
Feel free to just leave whenever, because sometimes things go on, and some people got to go, and it's just you never know how long they're going to last. Sometimes, so don't ever feel bad.
We always prep ourselves for like if the conversation's not going good, we'll just make it like 20 minutes, but they always turn out to be like 2 hours.
But it's just fun when you get interested in people, and it's just fun to talk, and people enjoy enjoy the information. I don't know. I think it's just fun.
So right.
You guys are really easy to talk to.
You too. I feel like we have a similar type of like personality energy. Like it just cohesiveness. We're like, she said a bad word. We're like, woo, because we're just very casual. And I think bad words, it's the energy of it. Like I can say like, I fucking love you. And that's like a lot of love,
right.
But like, I think it's just the energy. It's not necessarily the word. It's like the energy behind it. And it could add emphasis and it could add intensity. Okay. So you guys tweeted it out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It was just an experiment. Okay. So now my question was, you mentioned being an empath. You mentioned, becoming more sensitive as you become more spiritual. So I was just curious what you do to handle your sensitivities, because I personally am very sensitive and have had a lot of issues.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm a toddler at this. I think we all are. I think when, as you know, in 2012, the world as we knew it ended, and we really entered a new age of where like our vibration is just, obviously it's been shifting over time, but I don't know. I just feel like since 2012, it's been shifting so much faster, and the degree to which we feel things is so much deeper. So while I have managed it and do manage it, I'm still learning and am forever going to be learning because it's forever going to be shifting. But I did notice in 2012 that I started to just feel energy more deeply, which I thought was anxiety, right? And it's like, oh, I have an anxiety problem. That's what so many of my clients come to me with. And what I've learned is that I was just feeling energy. And I mean, that could mean so many things. It could be I was absorbing the energy of a place that I was beforehand. It could mean that I'm psychically feeling a change that's coming. I mean, it can be so many things. And that's why, like, going back to the conversation of like, we can't like think our way into figuring out why we're feeling. We have to feel it and experience it and allow our feelings to guide us. We have to trust that, because as you know, like, that's what intuition's all about. That's intuitive guidance. But I didn't know that shit. And it was really overwhelming. It was awful. And that's part of the reason why I was, binge eating previously too, because there was so much energy inside of me and I didn't know what to do with it. And I felt like such a loser, and I felt like an outcast, and I didn't know how to vocalize what was going on, and now I understand that, like you, I'm just a really sensitive person, and I feel a lot of things. I feel things before they happen. I feel other people's energies, like with you, I feel my clients before I get on the call. Like if they're having an issue in their solar plexus, my solar plexus will go crazy town. And so there's just so much to it. I mean, it's such a layered thing, but what I will say is that doing some form of daily chakra cleansing is like a non-negotiable for me. I will never tell other people what to do and how to live their life, but I have to cleanse my chakras every day. It's just like a non-negotiable. Otherwise, I am just, the degree to which I feel things is a lot more intensely because I haven't tended to my energy field and protected it. It's like if I don't wash my body in the shower every day, then my body's going to be dirty and tarnished. And it's the same thing with my energy field. So I do a daily chakra cleanse, which I'm going to be coming out with one in the next month or so, and sharing that with people because they've been asking for it, which is awesome. And I'm really excited to do that. And there is singing on that too.
Oh, nice.
But yeah. And then, like if I go to the gym and I leave the gym, I do what's called like an energy wipe down. So I'll just say, thank you, Archangel Michael, for removing any energy from me that is not my own. And I'll just like go all the way down my arms and I'll swat all the energy away. And then I go all the way down my legs, all the way to the bottom of my feet. And I swat the energy away and it releases all of the energy. Really simple. And I always look like a crazy person in the parking lot doing that, but I don't care because it works. It really does. It's so good. And so there's that. There's so many tools, but like daily chakra cleansing and then releasing that has been really helpful. But then also just feeling my feelings. Because as sensitive people, like we feel things like so much deeper than other people. And because of that, we can judge ourselves for it. And I think a lot of the time we just really need to feel the feeling and experience it, but then also keep that foundation of those practices. And when we do that, it's more manageable. It doesn't mean that it's always easy because it's not always easy. Sometimes the feelings are really, really intense and it can be really challenging, but that's why we need like our soul tribe to chat with, to hold space for us when we are in those challenging times, Yeah,
it's important to realize too that, with this ascension process and, the higher vibrations and being in, in 5D, that sensitivity is not going to go away. And that's just like the new norm. We have to realize how to cope and handle with it.
It's an enhancement. It's essentially like we're feeling more because we're feeling into more dimensions at once. Also, we're feeling more energy because there's so many energies and frequencies, and the way our older bodies were designed to feel certain frequencies. So as we enhance and evolve and become more spiritual in general, we're feeling more than we used to. You know what I mean? So like you said, like since 2012, you felt like an intensity, like an increase in your sensitivities, right? Like the earth has increased its vibrations. Our bodies have increased our vibrations. And when you increase your vibration, you increase what you can sense and feel energetically. So it's an enhancement,
right.
I mean, it's difficult to manage because we're not used to it, but I think we'll learn and become more accustomed to it. But like I said, I think this is like a big topic, and we can maybe have another blab. Anyone watching, if you guys are empaths, would like to have a fun conversation about that. But I want to let you go eat dinner and stuff. It has been over an hour. Thanks for hanging out.
It's okay. No, it was so much fun. It went by so fast. I like don't want to leave, but I'm so hungry that I'm not going to be present.
We totally have fun.
That's what we just talked about. So yeah,
we have fun with these things. So if you ever have any other random days where you want to come on and like have just like shoot the shit again, like we're happy to.
Yeah,
we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. And like you said, anyone watching, any empaths, whatnot, like email us at vibrationupgrade.com if you guys want to come and have an empath blab with us. Because
K Design wants to come in. So maybe if you want to drop.
Oh, it's Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
Kim, you want to jump on? There's
But Heather, tell everyone before you sign off, tell them again like your website and just so they can connect with you in case they want to reach you somehow before you leave.
Hi, yeah. So it's been so cool to share this space with you guys. Thanks for, having this conversation with us. And you can come over to heatherwaxman.com, and that's my home base. And because I know that the original title was how to be more consistent with your spiritual practice, and like if that's something that you're struggling with and that's something you want some help with, you can I made a free guide for you guys, and it's at heatherwaxman.com/meditate, and you can get it there, and it's really, really helpful. It comes with like a little checklist at the end too, so if you want to put that in your meditation space, so you can check your meditation off every day and for the month, which always feels good. So yeah,
Heather, it was a blast. Stay connected with us. I feel like you're a soul sister or soul sibling or something.
Soul sibling.
He's my soul sister.
You're probably
he's my soul brother, and I'm his soul sister.
And then next time you're in South Florida, we can do that eye exercise.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. But
totally.
But you could try it in the mirror too. I think you would dig it. It's really exciting. Okay. It's really exciting. So enjoy your dinner. We'll stay connected. I'll send people your way. Anyone that pops up that I think would enjoy you, which would be everybody. So because your energy is very vibrant and happy, and we just had a lot of fun. So thanks for hanging.
And
love you guys. Thank you so much.
Enjoy dinner. Bye. And then
Kim.
Kim.
Bye.
Yeah, Kim. We'll email you. Maybe we can talk. We can do a blab.
Oh, she wanted to jump on now.
Weeks. No, she said she's in her jammies. Not tonight.
Oh, you guys can come on in your jammies. We should.
All right, guys.
We should come in our. You're signing off?
Yeah.
Wait, we had some comments here.
We're gonna email. We'll email Kim and we'll set up another time.
Anyone else want to do a talk, an empath talk, or any other spiritual talks coming up soon? We had someone was talking about the app. Pablo said, this conversation reminds me of the Charles Chaplin speech on The Great Dictator about being more sensitive to feel more and think less. Pablo, you should come and join a blab with us soon. Email us at vibrationupgrade.com. I'm going to email us at our website. There's a little contact form if you guys want to do a blab with us, and we'll just set up a time and date. We have a lot of fun. Or let us know if there's anybody else that you think would enjoy talking with us, especially about empaths, being sensitive, the shift, the new energy, ascension symptoms. You can come in your jammies. If you would feel better if we were in our jammies, we'll do that too. We can just have like a full-blown jammy party. Well, you don't like the jammy idea?
Let's do it. All right, guys.
All right, night, everybody. It was nice meeting you. We're excited to connect. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye, everybody. Good night.